Nice. So, like I said, it's just kind of natural
Yeah, let's just have a
conversation.
chat.
Yeah, just shoot the shit. Just talk about anything you want, except for the TV show that we came up with. Maybe not that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that one.
Would that be a TV show or a movie?
Netflix show, like
Netflix
a
show.
10 part.
It gets canceled after the first season.
Yeah, the pilot.
The pilot, they just see it. They're like, nah, we're not
We're
feeling
not
it.
doing this.
So, I guess to kick this off, we can start first with that pillow's in my eyesight. It's like staring right at me. um, so I'll have to show you guys the pillow later. But
We will.
so the first thing I wanted to ask about is you're basically the first master photographer I've ever met in real person. Like I've been working with photographers for a while and like everyone's a photographer now, but it's very rare to meet someone that you can call a master photographer. And I want to first ask, what do you think about that term?
It's quite. I'll take it.
You'll take it?
I don't know. I mean, it's. I just do what I do, and I've been working hard at it for the past. It's my 9th year now as a photographer, and yeah, I think I would say I'm good at the style I do because I've just indulged myself in it and had no one to stop me from doing that. It started as like a just a passion project, and I was doing music full time before I was a photographer, and then I just explored black and white, and I fell in love with it through the work of Ansel Adams, particularly, and Cartier-Bresson. And then I found, you just start diving into the world of photography, and I wanted to make my own stuff eventually, and experimenting with geometric elements and contrast. So in that style, I'm good at that, but I wouldn't say I'm a master of food photography, for example.
That'd be like, if you were, that would be a new skill I just learned today.
Yeah, I'm terrible at food photography, actually.
I mean, because that's the first thing that strikes me about you is that like you are the first, I would say, master photographer that I met. And then the second thing is that you're so young. Like that was a second thing is because when I was working at Xiaomi, we're looking for masters. We're always thinking like a master is going to be like an 80-year-old man that's like,
Yeah, I've been doing it all their lives.
like I've been doing it for 60 years or something, but like.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I get that a lot. People think I'm older than I am. I'm 36 at the time of recording. And I think photography it's like violin, for example, takes a long time to master. Photography, I think the actual technical side of it, you can get in a week, like learning how to focus, learning the relationship between aperture and ISO and all that kind of stuff. It's all the ideas that make interesting photographers, I think, and combining that with the technique. So I guess because I've been a creative since I was very young, I got a guitar. I asked my dad for a guitar when I was really, like, can't remember how old, but pretty young. And so I started writing songs when I was around the age of 12, 13. And I think that process, the creative mind of like using your imagination as a tool, that's way more important than technique. I'm not saying that technique isn't important on a camera, it is, but I think I'd had a head start in terms of coming up with concepts and thinking through ideas and consistency. It's stuff that I taught myself music and I taught myself photography. I didn't realize I was training myself in a good way, And then I think the other thing is just I did it a lot, like quite obsessively, and I was lucky to have the life scenario where I could make that decision. I was freelancing for music studios and stuff, and standard freelancing, and I made a decision to cut my days of professional music and to put on some photography. So essentially I was working Monday to Thursday, and then I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday as my photography days. But then, because I was getting the train back into central London and back every day, that was like 40 minutes to an hour on the train. So I started shooting every day on the train. So before I knew it, I was putting in probably 8 hours a day on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then 4 hours, so it adds up. And then if you do that obsessively, and then I was editing, at home and reading up and listening to podcasts, You know, well, before podcasts, I was like watching, you know, just trying to buy books and geek out and all that stuff. And I really immersed myself. So I think in my first, you know, certainly when I became a full-time photographer, I'd say I've done more hours than most, even professional photographers would do in like 10, 20 years in that first few years. So I think it's the number of hours you can commit to it. And, you know, that really helped me. The combination of starting young as you know, thinking creatively, and then just having the right life circumstance. I wasn't married, don't have children. All those things are real big factors for making a photographer possible, I think.
Well, my question would be is that, like, when did you start feeling that, like, okay, like, not just I'm good at this, but I'm really good at this? Like, it's like above even a professional photographer level.
To be honest, I still doubt my photography a lot. I think a lot of professionals or a lot of artists can be really hard on themselves, and my partner will agree. I often get angry with myself and beat myself up about things, and just always trying to perfect it and try and strive for the next photo and all that kind of thing. But, you know, so I don't really think of my work in that way. It's always just relative. It's a game that I play for myself, ultimately. But, you know, pretty quick, I got my first commission within a year of starting photography, which is pretty crazy. That was photographing behind the scenes at London Fashion Week.
Okay.
And I did some stuff with newspapers like The Independent, who I used to write for as well, a little bit. And so, you know, I knew that I was good at it. But I suppose it was when I started getting, you know, like other photographers who I really admired. I had a conversation with Steve McCurry, who told me he was a huge fan of what I did.
Nice flex.
And yeah, and honestly, that was a huge moment in my, you know, it's nice having your family and your friends and even the photographic community. But if it's like someone you respect and you've looked up to for a long time, if they say like you're doing a great job, that felt really good, and then it just gave me more self-belief and confidence that I was on the right track and doing, you know. And I haven't really changed my plan. I'll just keep pushing and shooting all the time, and you know, it's like that. But the main one is worrying about. Is your form dropping off? That's the big one for me.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to ask. What specifically are you critical about yourself? Because, like, from my perspective, like, obviously everyone's looking at it from a subjective point of view, but, like, what are you specifically looking at?
Well, 8 years ago when I was first on the street shooting, what I would consider a great shot back then, probably I wouldn't even take that picture now, you know? And so, like, as you get better at it, it never gets easier. I think people assume that the more you do it, the easier it is, but the more critical you become. So, like, the more discerning you become, you know? Like, you know the difference. So let's say 8 years ago, I would have taken 10 shots in a week that I would have been really proud of. Now it's like one a month, max.
I mean, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Like, when I was first starting out photography, I was like, I'm getting bangers every day. Like, I would literally...
Exactly, right?
And then, like, but then, like, the more photos you see, and then, like, that was the thing is, I would look at art photography and think, like, oh, that's just art. That's not photography. But then, like, you really start to dissect it and really look at the theory and the skill and all of that. And then it's like the world becomes bigger in front of your eyes and you become smaller.
You said something earlier, the more you read, the less you know, you know? And it is that kind of thing. And I've just accepted that I've got my lane, my photographic one, and hey, man.
Hey, nice to meet you.
You know, I've got my lane that I stick to, and there was a guitarist I remember, a really amazing virtuosic guitarist called Steve Vai, who you know, So I saw him give a talk when I was like 15 or something at the London Guitar Show, and he said. Someone asked him about his technique and about his playing and how he improves. And he said, don't try and improve the things you're bad at. He said, just focus on the things you're really good at and just forget everything else. That was really encouraging, I think, because it's tempting as photographers to to try loads of different things and think that you can do loads of different things. It's very rare. People like Leonardo da Vinci who could do mathematics, art, like all this stuff with geometry and designing weapons and like what else did he do? Sculpturing, like that's rare that you can be master level at so many things. So I think it's important to just focus on one thing for a while and something that you really love, because the more that you love it, I think the more you're going to want to go out. I live in London and it's pretty bad weather here most of the time. So like,
not today though.
Not today. Whenever you come here, it's sunny.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you should come back more often. But sometimes it's quite demoralizing, like from October through to say March, where you just look outside and it's just like, if you're not loving it, you're never going to go out as much as I am, And I always I notice when I go shooting on a sunny day, you see a lot more people with cameras, and on rainy days, I'm on my own pretty much. But that's when I get ahead, that's how I try and see it. And it's just, I think I'm critical of, like, the things I'm critical about, like the stuff I'm not good at, I don't do anymore. So I just try and focus on what, it's more like an individual performance kind of thing. It's like some days you miss shots, or, it's hard doing street photography. It's difficult. You might not see an opportunity for like 4 hours of solid walking around, and then you see it and then you miss it. That's a bit annoying, and then you've missed it. Then you've got to get over that, and you can't just reset everything. It's not like you're in a studio. So, but when you get it right, it's oh so great. It gives me a good boost, like more than, so it can be like that. If you're in a bad headspace, it's very hard to shoot. I think you've got to be clear, and so it's kind of like a constant battle between, because after a certain amount of time, you're good enough. Like you've got all the technique in the world or whatever that you need. And like I said, photography technique isn't even that major. So it's not that. It's more just how you are, I think. And when I'm away traveling, you kind of forget all the issues you got back home, or family drama, or friend drama, or whatever is going on. And you could just, I find I focus a lot more. So like when I was in Beijing with you, we had stuff like that is awesome. Like that was the first time I'd been in Beijing, and you took us around like the most amazing routes, and it was seriously cool, and that's inspiring. And when I'm like that, I'm not even thinking about photography. I'm just experiencing it and absorbing it, and then you get curious, and you're like, oh, what's around there? And then it's just. My tip for anyone who's like in a rut is go buy some books, different photography books that inspire you, or try and figure out a way to get away somewhere new to focus on photography, like ideally on your own.
You know what's really funny is I had the exact same advice, but it was from my ex-girlfriend.
Ah.
She was like, your photography sucks, go read a book. And I was like, and then, but I was like, I'll go read it. And then it does help, because I think, like, I hung out with Joshua Jackson the other day, and I was looking at his photography books, and
great photography.
He's amazing, and just seeing it on paper and like being with him and having him explain it was just like, it honestly felt like, I don't know, like a religious experience. Like that's a bit exaggerated, but like it really felt like, it just felt like more beyond photography or beyond.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, photography isn't about the technique or about the gear. It's about the ideas and the approach.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I learned from you guys, like working with you, is because I think when I was still in that like Instagram phase, I was like, you don't look at the philosophy and stuff, but once you really see people that are thinking about these things or have these ideas, it makes you take that step back.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it in a couple of interviews before, but you don't see any child prodigy photographers because you got to know something about the world and about yourself and how to transmit that, And I think that's interesting that you really don't get, you get people who can, the camera is such a simple tool compared to a piano. And you get like kids from China in particular who seem to be ridiculously gifted. And they're playing like Tchaikovsky at the age of 3. But you'd never see a 3-year-old like producing kind of moving photographic series, because it's and so that says everything I think you need to know about photography. It's not about the device; it's about the 5 to 6 foot standing behind the device who's operating it, you know. And the more you can understanding your camera gear is so important. In the same way that understanding the limitations of your car is important when you're driving, but you know, a good driver is, you know, a Formula One driver will outdrive someone in a Ferrari in like a, you know, Volkswagen, you know, probably around the track, no problem.
But I mean, that's a good question. My next question is, doing something like photography is something that's it's an art form, but it's a really low threshold art form. And what I mean by that is literally anyone around the world can pick up their phone and start shooting stuff. Like for example, you just said like the Chinese kid playing piano, like my fingers don't move that fast, my fingers might not be that long, like not everyone can do it, but someone with photography, literally anyone can do it. Yeah. I would say maybe it's one of the easiest art forms to enter. Yeah. Like when you're a master or at the top of that level, how do you look at other people taking part of it?
I think it's amazing that people are, like in the 50s, I think I read something that there were something like 300,000 cameras sold worldwide. And now if you include phones, it's like nearly 1 billion a year devices that are sold, which is insane. And with that, you know, like if you notice a lot of, well, we've done some shoots together. A lot of that is the phones are based around the cameras now. And like Apple do a lot of advertising with the camera. You know, all their billboards have got pictures of the cameras. So like photography has become super important, and individualism in general is huge, and you know, everyone wanting to show their own experience and their own life story. And so I think it's fantastic, really, because it's like the golden age of photography now. Like we've got the best cameras ever, we've got better ways of self-publishing, and people are much more passionate about it. And it means that like in the 50s, if you saw a picture of like a Nat Geo legend or someone like Ansel Adams, people would just go, oh, that's a cool picture, but they wouldn't understand anything about the process. Whereas nowadays, people understand when they see a good picture, they're like, oh, like, geez, that's tricky to achieve. And they know they can't do it now. So I think photographers are getting more kind of kudos these days. And more people are wanting to learn how to improve on smartphones, because you know the phones industry is incredible what it's done for photography. And I think it's wonderful that kids, you know, 14-year-old kids can just go out and with their families and just shoot on a phone and really think about it and get involved in that. That wasn't a thing 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So, you know, I reckon the next generation of photographers, if AI doesn't destroy all of that, their interest in it, it's going to be really interesting to see what people come up with.
I mean, it's interesting that you brought up AI, because when I was working at Xiaomi and the phones are getting better in front of our very eyes, I always thought of a quote from The Incredibles, you know, the Pixar movie. I forgot what's the guy's name is, the bad guy in the movie. He says,
oh yeah, I know the guy.
The guy with the crazy hair.
Yeah.
He says if everyone is super, no one will be. And I feel that was always the intention of like phones, like everyone will have this power, and then if everyone has this power, if everyone's a great photographer, no one's a great photographer. Same thing with AI. If everyone has AI, no one's really great.
I don't agree.
And that's what I mean. I thought you would completely disagree with that.
I mean, you know, having Gordon Ramsay's saucepan doesn't make you Gordon Ramsay. And even having a thing that auto-generates meals isn't going to give you the creativity of him, or you know, you're always going to be copying what they're doing or inspired by that. And I'm not against AI at all. I think it is what it is. It's not photography though. It's weird how it's being used to generate photos. I think it's good for the commercial sector. A lot of commercial photographers are probably in trouble because of it. But, you know, that's life. And in the same way that CDs were a thing and they're going away, and MP3s will get superseded one day, you know, by something else and so on. I think I'm interested to see where it goes and how it can bolster creativity. But you know, I think equal opportunity is important, and if mobile phones help engage more people, and get them thinking creatively, I can only see that as a good thing in the world these days. And also, it's crazy how every kid these days wants to be an influencer or a creator. All of them. Like when I was at school, I don't know about you, but everyone wanted to be a firefighter or a pilot or a doctor or something. And now it's all YouTubers.
Yeah.
So the world's going to be interesting in like 50 years.
I mean, like, I always had like kind of a funny thought is because like I wasn't like the popular kid in school, especially with the girls. And then like I was always like, if I learn how to play guitar, like that was like how like when we were kids.
That's
it was
what,
like,
look
you
how many
wanna get a
guitars
girl.
I've got.
Yeah, is that the reason why?
Yeah, it is pretty much. I mean, if people are honest, that's, you know, I wasn't the best at school, not because I wasn't smart enough. It was just I had a lot of problems with concentration, which I've subsequently found out is because I've got a problem with that. I do, but that's what street photography is great for me because it's like flip, floating around. But if you ask me to like, you know, wildlife photography would be terrible for me. Like sitting in a hut.
Just be like walking around.
No. You know the ones who like wait for a fox for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And then that I don't think I could do. I would go crazy. But the industry's changing a lot, and it's interesting to see where it goes. I think if you want to secure your spot as an artist these days, the most important thing is to have your own style and to have your own voice in it, because that's something that people are still going to want to work with people. Also, it's been interesting seeing how certain social media outlets are starting to, news outlets are starting to put like symbols on, like a note on the articles if they were not at all AI.
Oh yeah.
So it's almost like a badge of honor now, like you know, created for real.
Yeah.
So I think if anything, it's going to be, it might add more value eventually to people who really have talent and skills. You know, auto-generating stuff is one thing, but I reckon it's the same as, you know, the music industry. Like it goes through sweeps of like, you know, like in the 2000s it was all boy bands, and then people get fed up and then they want to hear real, you know, like proper music again, and then Adele comes along, and then it's like back into the kind of K-pop is huge globally, and so, you know, it's just trends. I think AI people will probably start to miss seeing real stuff made by real people, and you know, that's it's interesting to see where it's going to go.
And that's why I really like this quote, like, if everyone's super, no one is, because I feel like the part that is actually super is not the equipment itself, it's the mindset and the philosophy.
Of course, and it's interesting seeing how AI is probably going to influence people to want to try photography for real, because they can, you know, the whole thing is quite daunting at the beginning. It's like, it's a bit scary. It's like you've got all this equipment and you don't know how to use it, and you could just go on Midjourney and type in a few things and produce something nice. It's tempting, but I think it's going to be a good thing. And these days, it's like the phones are getting crazy. Like when I started shooting on phones, 2016, did my first phone campaign, and it was quite difficult, if I'm being honest. And you know, the shoot I was doing was based around a Christmas theme. It's called The Makers of Christmas, and like the people who sacrifice time to have stuff open for you on Christmas Day, you know. And we were shooting a lot of it at night in Finland, and it was not working. The camera was like stressing out with the bright lights and the dark. It was just like not great. And now these days it's just insane. Like the HDR modes and the raw capability. It's just like, if you can't make a good picture on a phone these days, it's not the fault of the device.
But I don't know about you, but so I think I was telling you I'm doing a new series now where basically I'm whether I'm in China or like wherever, I'll buy like the crappiest phone I can find my hands on that can still turn on and just take photos with it.
You were saying about this. I want to try this with you.
Yeah, no.
Do you remember Top Gear?
Yeah, it's kind of like Top Gear, but for
star in a really reasonably priced car. They had a segment where they So I bought on eBay like a 2 or 3 megapixel digital camera from 2007 or something. Tried to take pictures with it, and it actually arrived and it didn't work, which was really annoying. Which is probably why it was £4. But it's something I really wanted to experiment with.
Yeah.
Is taking something terrible and trying to make something with it. I remember there was a camera I saw that was inside like a Pokemon toy, and it was like a Pikachu or something with a camera, and it had a little screen on the back, and it was just like the worst camera you could imagine. And yeah, if you could make something good with that, that would be.
But that's why I like it's like it's kind of like the White Album in a sense. It's like stripping yourself back to absolutely nothing, and then you can only rely on your thoughts and your philosophy and your mindset. That's why I like it. It's really like it is really annoying. Like we did a shoot in Shenzhen the other day, and the phone just kept turning off, and I was like, but it was almost like it made it so then you have to focus in even more.
Yeah, and that's why I like shooting film. I showed you my Polaroid camera I've just been shooting with. It's really interesting when you know, if you go out with 8 slides in your camera, because that's all it can hack. You know, the pack has got 8 in. Yeah, it changes it completely. You're like thinking, oh, you know, if you can only take 8 pictures in one day, it really makes you think about like, oh, you know, the balance between not taking enough and like waiting for the right shot, and the fact that you have to get the light perfect on it. It's really you know, it just makes you think about it in such a deeper way than just walking around blasting.
Just blasting.
Just blasting.
So we're running a little bit out of time, but I did want to ask you a few more questions. One is, I think one thing that struck me when I first met you was like you're a young guy and you're also a really down to earth guy. Like I remember the first time we had a few drinks and like I was kind of shocked, to be honest. I thought like he'd be like smoking a cigarette and like, why hello sir, like that kind of feeling. But like you're very down to earth, or I mean, maybe down to earth is not the right word, but like approachable, right? And I think it shows on your social media too. Like you're probably one of the best users of social media in your level of photography. Your YouTube channel is really funny. It's nothing like you would have imagined if you just saw your photos, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, thank you.
That was like, thank you.
Thank you. No, I think a lot of people take it very seriously, you know, and they try and get overly poetic with it. You know, like a lot of photographers, if you ask them their approach, they'll tell you to like look inside your heart and your mind and all this rubbish. You know, it's not like that. You know, it's not rubbish. It's maybe a bit harsh, but I think it's, you know, like sometimes I'll take a picture and people will want a real deep story behind it. And it's like, I was standing on a train platform and my train was late and I saw this woman walking through some light and I took a picture of her. That's it. And people, you know, people want it like, oh, this is some mysterious woman who I used to have. We've been in love for 20 years. No, it's not like that. And, you know, I enjoy what I do, but like I said, I do it for myself primarily. So I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm apart from myself, really.
Well, I think that's the thing is a lot of people are pressured to feel like they have to act a certain way because that's the stature they've been put in.
Yeah, but I'm confident to let my work do the talking. And, you know, recently I've started YouTube, which has been really fun. But normally I've just tried to keep myself offline, you know, just like most of it's about my work. You don't see much about my personal life on there.
But I really do like the YouTube, like especially the one with you and Matt. It's like seeing the two of you together. It's funny, one, and then two, it's like it's almost like kind of not alarming, but jarring, just because you would never think that like these master photographers would be kissing each other on the streets of Paris.
I know Matt's a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean it's surprising. A lot of photographers are actually really chilled out and quite humble guys, I think. It's always telling when you meet someone who's not happy with themselves or their work. They try and inflate it, I think. Well, at least in London, you meet a lot of people who try and give off that they're doing well in things. And I always see that as a bit of a red flag. It's like, you know, I've never met a successful actor. Like, I photographed some famous people before, and they never feel the need to go on about what they've done. You know, it's like they're just there. And I remember I photographed Matthew McConaughey, and he could not have been a more normal dude. You know, he was just like, "Hey, man." We talked about the Leica a bit. We had a few, you know, we just laughing a bit. He was eating some sweets. I had a couple of his sweets. You know, like there was no like. I think the more you put them on a pedestal, the weirder it is for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just going to try and keep focusing on what's important on the work and not be a douche.
I like that's a good way to end this. Don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche.
Everyone out there, don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche. Everyone knows.
I didn't know that till now. I've been being a douche this whole time.
No, you're not a douche. You're not a douche. You're great.
No, well, you're great too, and I really appreciate you taking the time. Thanks a lot. This ends my month-long journey around the world, so it's great to end it with you.
You're going back to Shenzhen.
Yep, first Shenzhen and then Beijing. So
Big old flight.
yep.
Yeah, I hope to come see you out there soon.
Yeah, and then we'll shoot a Alchemist. The series is called Alchemist because we take like nothing and make it into gold. So like, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So we'll definitely shoot one when you're out.
All right, cool, man.
Yep, cool.
All right.
Thanks a lot and enjoy your band practice.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. Perfect.